Cancer, welcome to your reading for the week of January 9 to the 15th. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Now, keep in mind, these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements because you could have messages there as well, and that will give you a more full picture. Okay, my friends, let's get started here for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What is the energy around the week ahead for Cancer? Seeing fork in the road coming out, some decisions maybe. We've got poised, both coming out in the reversed position. So you might not be feeling really confident about taking a decision this week or making sort of a directional choice this week. Oh, this is interesting, but you really are being guided to kind of go with the flow intuitively here because I feel like you're about to experience something that you don't expect. And you're sort of being guided to use inner peace as your guide. Notice that you have card 22 and 23. So you're definitely on a path. This is card 23 and this is card 22. So you're definitely moving towards something here that's like a blessing. You know, that blessed card is really about unforeseen blessings that you know you don't expect. And all of a sudden, there they are. And it's a lovely message to receive. And that yin energy really confirms this idea of being receptive and sort of this conscious allowing. I love that. This conscious allowing where we very gracefully accept things as they appear. We don't feel the need to chase, but rather we consciously allow things to flow to us. And it's interesting because the message of this card sort of carries this energy of being graceful and poised. And yet here it is for you in the reverse, which tells me that right now might not be a time that you feel incredibly graceful or poised or even confident enough to sort of step up. But you're really being guided here to again, to feel like you don't have to chase things, that let things flow to you. There's a decision here that you feel indecisive about, and it's almost like the guidance is saying, then don't make the decision now. Wait until you feel like you have all the information or you feel like everything has sort of come in the right timing, the sort of divine timing of this situation. Because it's interesting, this is sort of like a message to say it's better to let things come to you than to go chasing after them. And so you're really being guided to have this sort of inner peace that knows and trusts in timing and knows and trusts that it's right now is the time to be calm, and right now is the time to find harmony within and to not necessarily go chasing out into the external world to find that calm, that you will find it within, and that will bring you certainty and clarity, which will help with decision making, and that whatever's going on right now will pass. Cancer, it's almost like you're being guided to go in and not be too focused on what's happening in the outer world, but to focus on the inner world and to trust that it really feels like it's a blessing that comes unforeseen, right? Like a blessing that you receive that you didn't expect. And it comes. You don't have to chase it. It's coming. And it's wonderful. And it's unearned and unexpected and unforeseen. It's a moment where it seems out of the blue, everything is orchestrated by divine timing and intervention. And so you don't have to chase this, Cancer. This is en route to you already. And it feels really nice to say that because I feel like Cancer has been in many readings have sort of been experiencing things that have made you stop and say, seriously? You know? And now it's like you're really being guided to just trust this and let this blessing arrive. You don't have to chase it. Let it arrive. And there's the Hierophant coming out for you on fork in the road, which tells, that sort of gives me that idea of, again, that divine presence, that idea that you can sort of receive things from source in a very conventional and traditional way, and it not make any sense as to how it arrived there. Do you know what I mean? It's interesting. I feel like this is confirming that divine guidance in so far as it's like you've discovered some kind of by focusing on your own peace, it's like you've discovered the keys to the law of attraction in some way, that your energy attracts to you. You don't have to go chasing it. It's interesting. We see the Three of Pentacles here coming out on poised, with poised being in the reverse. And so that and the Three of Pentacles also being in reversed, which tells me that right now might not be a time where you actually want to run out and engage with others. It's really confirming this idea of letting things come to you, that you don't have to go and chase them. And I actually feel like you don't even want to involve other people right now, other collaborators. I feel like you want to, you're not ready to make a move towards something yet, and you want to see what's going to come to you. And the clarity is part of this. I feel like the clarity is coming as well. And it's interesting seeing the Five of Swords now. It makes me feel like whatever it is that you've got your focus on, there is an element to it where you have to just trust the outcome. You know, and it's one of those moments where I feel like saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Believe them. Don't go chasing after a different version of them that you've created up in your mind. And don't waste your time trying to prove yourself right. You know, like to just kind of trust that if someone shows you who they are, or if someone doesn't understand who you are, that's okay. You don't have to make them understand. You don't have to, stand in what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's more than defending yourself. It's a frustration that comes when you feel like people don't understand you. You know what I mean? And that is really an inner frustration, and it has nothing to do with the person standing in front of you. And I really feel like it's interesting because it feels like this reading is guiding you towards that place of peace where you look within for clarity. You don't need the clarity coming from the outer world. And so seeing that Five of Swords tells me that if you try to look for that clarity in the outer world, you're not going to find it. You might find people to argue with, but I don't think you want to do that either. So this is interesting. You're really needing to go within here for the answers, to trust that everything is moving in the direction that it needs to get you to your higher self and your highest timeline. And seeing this Eight of Wands in reverse tells me that there is a part of you that may get a little impulsive and resist that guidance and start running when you don't need to. You don't need to chase anything or anyone. I'm seeing here the Nine of Cups in reverse, which tells me that your focus right now, maybe the reason you want to run and chase, is because you're not feeling satisfied with something. There's something here that you're just not feeling emotionally satisfied with. It could be a conversation you had with someone. It could be a decision that you made or that someone else made. It could be that you don't feel satisfied because you're not sure of the certainty or clarity around something. But this is almost a time where it's like if you don't feel satisfied, there's nothing in the outer world that will satisfy you. If you're not feeling satisfied, it's because there's something within you that's not satisfied. So that's almost the journey you're being guided to go on, is to go within to see, why do you feel this way? Why do you feel this way? And why are you resisting the signs and synchronicities around you, trying to bring in this blessing? It almost feels like your energy is all over the place, like there's a lack of direction, and that it's time to go, but you don't feel like it's time to go. And you're not ready to face things head on. And there's a hesitation here. And it's interesting because I really feel like there is a positive resolution on its way, and you don't need to chase it. It's on its way. And maybe because it's on its way and you feel it, you feel like you have to do something to meet it halfway. But you don't. This feels like it's just going to unfold, and you just need to be in the flow, to be open, to receive, and to attract. You don't have to chase after this. This is very interesting. We'll see. Let's clarify. Why do we see the Hierophant here with fork in the road? 8 of Pentacles. Interesting. So that kind of tells me that whatever this is something that you've dedicated a lot of yourself to. And you've had so much time to sort of develop this, that it's almost become a skill for you to feel this, I gotta run to chase something. This indecision almost feels like something you've mastered, because you've been sort of in a place where maybe you feel like you've been feeling like this for so long, you've mastered this feeling, and now it's time to sort of surrender it and develop this idea of finding peace within. Now you have a new challenge, something new to develop. Yeah, on poised here, we're seeing the 9 of Swords with the 4 of Cups. That's fair. Like, I feel like you're not wanting to work with people. You're not feeling ready to move on something. And yet at the same time, you have this fear of missing out. You have this fear of missing out. Will I miss out on something? I think it's actually causing some fear, some anxiety, some sadness even. You have a fear of missing out on something. That, it's interesting, coming through right now is this idea that you're doing comparisons. And you're saying, well, they have this. How come I don't have this? And how come it works out for them and it doesn't work out for me? And it's this interesting comparison you're doing that's sort of, it's actually not helping you. It's if anything, it's making you feel worse. You know what I mean, Cancer? Like, and you're so sensitive already that you're very like whatever feeling you start to focus on amplifies very quickly. 5 of Swords. Can't help but feel like you feel like you have to, that people have to know who you are and what you're all about, and they must understand you. You're really being guided to get distance from that. You got the 5 and the 6 here of Swords. So it's like, okay, not everyone's going to understand you or validate you or agree with you or any of that. And so why put so much effort into that instead of focusing on sort of being someone who just gets distance from stuff like that? Like, that you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You've got other stuff here that's moving towards you. So it's interesting to see the 6 of Swords here, because I think that really makes me feel like you're leaving some of this behind, and you will find this peaceful inner world. That's where you're going to find peace. It almost feels like your reading this week is sort of surrounding the idea that if you feel empty inside, that there's no amount of stuff from the outer world that's going to make you feel full. In fact, the more you try to use things from the outer world to make you feel full, the more empty you might feel. This is an inner situation that needs an inner solution. And I feel like there's something coming towards you right now to aid you in that. But that you almost have to be open to just attract instead of running around chasing impulsively. That's not going to serve you. And it's also not going to serve you to to have that fear of missing out and comparison with other people and saying, well, how come they have this and I don't, and how come? Yeah, you have to put that mind at rest. Four of Swords. And I think that's going to be tricky. You've got the 4, 5, and 6. You've got a lot of stuff in the mind that needs to be processed and worked through, because I feel like there's this need to be understood. There's this idea that it's hard to put your mind at rest. It feels like you want to just go chasing after something, and yet you're not getting that green light. You're getting this idea of like, bring peace and stillness to the mind and allow yourself to attract things instead of chasing them. And we see the Page of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, guiding you to focus that unfocused energy. Bring that unfocused energy inward and focus it on the self. Focus inwardly on changing the emotional quality that you're holding right now. Instead of feeling unsatisfied, to find that joy again from within. And that there's this almost idea here that I can't help but feel like that idea here of delaying this it's not in your best interest, because I feel like delaying it means that you sit in this space where you're like, well, how come they have that and I don't? And that feels like something you need to get distance from as soon as possible, to sort of see your journey as your journey, and that there's no comparison required, needed, or necessary. And that the outer world is a reflection of the inner world. So if you're feeling unsatisfied and that things are taking too long, perhaps you need to question this idea of immediate gratification and this idea of bringing joy to the self, and that you can change your emotional quality. You don't need stuff in the external world to bring that to you. And in fact, it almost feels like the more you chase it outwards, the further away that feeling gets. This is really pushing you to do some inner work. Interesting. Let's see which oracle card you'll receive, Cancer. Very interesting reading. Winter coming through. I really think you're having a spiritual winter right now. The spiritual winter is a time where we go inwards. And that's the only card coming through for you. Bottom of the deck is validation, which totally makes sense. You could be seeking validation in the external world and noticing that no amount of validation serves you right now from the external world. You got to give this to yourself. You have to validate yourself. If you keep looking for it in the external world, I can't help but feel like you're going to feel even emptier and more dissatisfied, on an emotional level. This winter card 22 here, it's your spiritual winter. And the spiritual winter is really a time where we go inwards to understand the past seasons, to understand ourselves more through contemplation and also through rejuvenation. In the sense of asking yourself questions like, am I giving into perceptions that are uncomfortable, and am I losing my light within? And I feel like that's a strong question for you to ask yourself this week. And does prolonged time of seemingly no movement make me uncomfortable? No movement in the outer world. And I feel like that's an interesting question. Do I constantly need to be doing something to fill a void within? And what am I avoiding? This is interesting. That void within came up for me as a visualization, I think when we got to around this Four of Cups card, where it just feels like you could fill yourself up with stuff from the external world as much as you want, but that's not going to actually fill the void that you have within. Nothing from the outer world will fill that void. You have to shift. You yourself must shift within. And it's very interesting because I feel like that stillness is what you need right now. And if you're feeling like, oh, no, I got to go out and do this and this and this and stay busy and oh, I'm not being productive, I've got to go do la 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 la, that is a key signal that you're trying to fill an inner void with an outer experience of some kind, that it's too much on the surface. If there's a void within, you have to sort of go into this contemplation mode to sort that out, to understand it on a deeper level. But I'm almost feeling all you need to do is tap into this peace where you know that you can change things in the outer world by changing the inner environment. I almost feel like you need to flip it. Instead of looking for the solution in the outer world, the solution is within you. And that changes your experience in the outer world when we make inner changes. And it feels like part of it has to do with validation for you, that you're almost looking for that confidence in the external world. Like if people get you and they understand you, and then I'll feel whole and complete. Well, Cancer, you are whole and complete now. And nothing in the external world is going to make you feel more of that. You have to find that within. What an interesting reading. I hope that's helped. I'm going to leave it at that. And I really hope this has resonated for you, my friends. If it has, please consider subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting. It's so nice to connect with you through these readings. If you would like a personal reading, we can do that. The link is in the description below. And as always, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I look forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care.